Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto video. And today, I want to know from you guys, are you still holding or have you dropped XRP? Put it in the comment section down below, as I'm genuinely very interested in your opinion. And having said that, make sure you also just press the like button and subscribe, because by doing that, you're automatically entering into our $100 crypto giveaway that we give away the first time a video hits 1,500 likes within 24 hours. Having said that, Peter Schiff says Bitcoin is still going to collapse, death of spiral of inflation coming. You know, a fun thing about all these haters and all these people who say crypto is going to die or just really go bad eventually is all I can say is they will be right for the short term. As we all know, crypto will at one point fall. It could be that right now is already the turnaround point of the bull run. It could definitely be. Do we think so? No. But eventually he's going to be correct. And that's the fun part about people predicting cryptocurrency prices. You will always be correct if you don't put an end date to it. Or if you just say, we're going here eventually. Well, you might as well be correct unless you say Bitcoin is going to, for example, $1, $10, something like that. It may really never occur. We don't really know in our lifetimes at least. But generally, if you say, for example, Ethereum will eventually hit $2,500, most likely eventually it will. If you say Bitcoin will eventually hit $1 million, most likely eventually it will. If you're saying Bitcoin will crash hard and lose people tons of money, most likely eventually it will. And the same thing goes for XRP, same thing goes for Polkadot, same thing goes for a lot of these crypto. If they have some longevity inside them, for example, Bitcoin has some, it doesn't have the complete package because, well, if you think about it, Bitcoin is not that useful. It is however the first, which gave it a lot of priority and a lot of authority, basically. So it has some longevity to it. But if you start to think about it, well, yeah, a lot can happen to it, and a lot will happen to it most likely. Same for these other cryptos. So, again, I do not really attach too much value to these guys unless they're coming with some specific things. But all they just keep saying is it's a bubble. You got to understand that. Well, whatever. I don't personally listen to it. Then multi-dollar billion firm Ruffer explains its $745 million Bitcoin bet. The firm said its move was unconventional, but ahead of the game. Asset management Ruffer in December invested some $745 million in Bitcoin. The firm today said they stand by their move, and Ruffer believes that Bitcoin is a challenger to gold, which I really sincerely hope, and I do think quite so. The firm, which manages $20.3 billion in assets and has offices in London and Paris, announced in December that it allocated 2.5% of its multi-strategies fund to Bitcoin, and that amounts to roughly 550 million pounds in Bitcoin, or about $746 million in today's exchange rate. That's pretty crazy if you start to think about that, how much money that is. Ruffer has also exposure to Bitcoin via two proxy equities companies, MicroStrategy and Galaxy Digital. Business intelligence firm MicroStrategy currently holds around $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin in its reserves, while Galaxy holds nearly $600 million. And now, with Bitcoin's price up, the firm is pleased and considers its move ahead of the curve. Our rationale has been well publicized, but briefly. We have a history of using unconventional protections in our portfolio, said Ruffer in its year-end review. This is another example, a small allocation into an idiosyncratic asset class, which we think brings something significantly different to our portfolio. We think we're relatively early to this, at the foothills of a long trend of institutional adoption and financialization of Bitcoin, it added. However, again, they're only putting 2.5% in, so they're not really too real about that, but it's still a good thing. Then Lynn Alden on why the dollar system no longer serves the US or the world. You know, the fun part about it is the US dollar has always been the biggest, basically, because of the gold standard back in the day and because, well, it's been decided like that 100 years ago. However, if you start to remeasure, right, you say, okay, US GDP is still the highest, but China's taken over, really. However, on a different end, the US dollar is not so reliable anymore because of the crazy debt that they built for themselves over the last 30 years. If you start to look at the last 15 years, it is insane how much debt they have created. And from that perspective, I would also like to argue that the US dollar is not as safe or not as much of a safe haven as a lot of people make it out to be. And it's also not a good one world currency where, again, the Chinese is becoming a bigger superpower and cryptocurrency is becoming more popular. People want different ways to pay, right? And that's why CBDCs are so popular, or at least getting so popular. Or even those, they would never really be a one world currency like, for example, XRP could be, being the bridge between all of them, basically making a one world currency possible without having one world currency. But yeah, the US dollar can't do that because it has one jurisdiction, basically. Jamie Dimon says banks should be scared shitless by fintech rivals like PayPal and Square. JP Morgan Chase's chief executive officer expects brutal competition in the payments sector in the next 10 years. Quote, absolute. Oh, wait, let's see. Chase. Wow, I'm saying some stupid stuff, guys. JP Morgan Chase CEO, there we go, Jamie Dimon, says banks should be frightened of the new breed of fintech players led by Square, PayPal, and tech giants. Quote, absolutely. We should be scared shitless about that, was Dimon's blunt assessment in a conference call with analysts on Friday in response to the question about fintech players having trounced traditional banks in the recent years. New quote, we have plenty of resources, a lot of very smart people. We've just got to get quicker, better, faster. As you look at what we've done, you'd say we've done a good job, but the other people that have done a good job too, said the CEO of bank giant with $3.4 trillion in assets. According to Dimon, PayPal, Square, and financial Stripe and US tech giants, including Google, Apple, and Amazon, are competitors that the banks need to keep an eye on. The rivals are also clients of the banks in many cases, he added. I expect to see very, very tough, brutal competition in the next 10 years, Dimon said. I expect to win, so help me God. In some cases, the new players have unfair competition, which he says will do something about eventually. And Dimon also called out digital currency-friendly payment startup Plaid, whose $5.3 billion deal with Visa was scrapped amid a U.S. antitrust suit, saying some people who improperly use data that's been given to them, like Plaid. Both PayPal and Square support Bitcoin and crypto, which Dimon has previously called fraud. Still, the bank has changed its tune on digital currencies and predicts a $150,000 price target for Bitcoin in the long term in its trajectory to achieve gold's market cap, basically. All I can say, guys, and that's what I'm going to keep it at, I guess, is I almost know for certain that they also think Ripple is either a very big competitor or a very good complementary asset, basically. So Ripple, as we see it right now, they either have the opportunity to make XRP the world's most important bridge asset, as I just said, kind of making this one world currency an option. So basically helping and aiding all the traditional banks to a newer system. On a different end, it also has the possibility to really make it impossible for banks to operate, as why would you use them? What can you use them for? Right? You're just going to use these cheap financial institutions. What can a bank do for you? Right now, the bank basically invests money, right? If you put money in, they basically safeguard it and really, I guess, invest the money. That's mostly what they do. Or you could say they're also help in hand in monetary policy if you look at a different layer. But let's just keep it at the simple stuff, right? Let's also not include central banks. Let's call only the normal retail banks. Well, if they were to all be gone and you'd have just a lot of financial institutions with easy access to it, I think it's still going to be pretty damn simple. You don't need them, especially since the yield right now is dropping on bonds, for example, the safe things that banks use to invest in. Yeah, what are they good for? If interest rates become negative all over the world, staking is going to be a new standard, I think, guys. I really think about that. And I think XRP is also a very, very big part of all of this. Then PRX asked, are you ready? And then some I don't know, tweets from Mr. Loop, Mr. Pool, whatever his name is. Mr. Pool here, the XRP theorist or whatever you want to freaking call it, I don't know. Crypto Wolf has said XRP pumps harder than every other crypto during the bull run of 2017. It pumped last, but had the highest percentage, skyrocketing from around 20 cents to $3 or even more. And that's one thing I must also admit there as well. Even though XRP might not be the first one or even the greatest one in the short term, I still think it's going to beat a lot of others over a longer period of time. I'm still well aware of the fact that it's down low, but I think ultimately it's going to be really, really amazing. Again, that's just my mindset on these things. Then, YouTubers bet on XRP. Is a 2,000% price increase possible after the SEC lawsuit? According to the XRP researcher, the XRP price could increase by more than 2,000% after the SEC lawsuit. World-famous YouTuber Daniel Keemstar, bought 1 million XRP worth almost $300,000. Which is, again, quite crazy, but let's see. I want everyone to think about this. After Kin was declared not a security by the SEC, it went up 2,000%. Kin isn't traded on nearly as many exchanges as XRP. What do you think is going to happen if XRP actually gets this clarity? A 2,000% times multiplier. XRP, know what you hold. That's the only thing I can say right here. If it really is not called out as security or it gets the clarity, I think it would be really, really amazing. Golf Trotter says, if XRP at 30 cents at the time got the clarity, means it's going to reach $6.30, not bad for a beginning. That's not necessarily true, all right? Keep in mind that this is not necessarily true because you first of all have a multiplier, and it doesn't have to go exactly the same way, as there's quite a lot of other things playing here as well. On a different end, though, it could do pretty good if it's called out, and I would also bet on it, basically. But I also sometimes think, what if we just place some crazy buy orders for XRP at, for example, 45 cents or something like that, you know? Just if we do get the clarity, then you just put a lot more money in. But that is, again, just waiting for that ticker. Because, well, if it doesn't, you might just want to be with your position right now. But if we do, you guys get what I'm trying to say? Like, that you buy in a little bit more than you might be able to if we actually get the clarity because of that multiplier / the increase that we could be seeing because we get clarity. I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. However, the whole document coming out the 15th is not going to be the official clarity. It's just going to be kind of a start of things. So it might be another year before that actually happens, at which your buy target could have already been hit and then stop lost. So again, don't take this as any advice. I'm just calling some things out there and letting you guys decide for it yourselves. Then Bitcoin OTC trade in Hong Kong goes wrong. $500,000 stolen. 4 men stole about 3.5 million yuan and an iPhone from a woman trading in cryptocurrency. A group of men reportedly stole over 500K from a woman trading crypto in Hong Kong. This is the first of 2 crypto-related robberies in Hong Kong since the start of the year. In the past, sometimes traders themselves have been kidnapped. I'm just trying to say, guys, do not let all these people know that you have cryptocurrency, all right? In this case here, on January 4th, another Bitcoin theft targeted the 37-year-old Bitcoin seller known as Lee. Lee reportedly met 2 South Asian males for a sale before a group of 6 rushed in and stole about 3 million yuan in cash. Police were called to the scene of the crime and have opened an investigation. And again, it could be that she's not, doing this with real money or something like that. However, you guys don't understand. I'm not trying to say white money. However, just over a year ago, we covered this back in that time, Singaporean crypto consultant Mark Cheng was reportedly kidnapped in Thailand. Cheng was on a business trip when a group of masked men were said to have forced him into a truck. Reports at the time stated that Cheng was tortured for his Bitcoin holdings that were worth $740,000. Presumably, this is why it's generally recommended to not tell anyone about how much Bitcoin you own, but even that might not be enough. You guys understand, though, that a lot of these crypto influencers as well are targets, right? That's really why I think some of these guys are stupid. And when people ask me, why do you not show your face? It's because I do not want to associate myself with crypto. Even though I've never stated how much crypto I have, I've only shown, for example, $1,000 worth, which everybody might know. It's no problem at all that I have $2,000 worth of crypto. Could be all the crypto I have for all you know. I do that very deliberately, all right? It's all a part of the bigger picture that if crypto really goes well and you're really an XRP holder, for example, you don't want all these guys to know how much you have, right? What if you want to stay in the house you're living at right now, you told all your neighbors that you got some, they might look at you differently, right? Not even talking about theft here, just talking about a different attitude. Or maybe people will just know you had crypto, will be like, hey, that XRP thing you had went really well, huh? Yeah, you had a lot of it, right? Yeah, it's now $50. So, you must be loaded, huh? Or yeah, right? Aren't you? Stuff like that will really come. Trust me when I say that, guys. It also happened to a lot of us with Bitcoin, all right? There's a couple of people that know that I have Bitcoin, and were they over me when Bitcoin went to $40,000. Oh, that was really interesting. Like, hey, you had Bitcoin, right? How's it going now? And every time I see people that know, they're always like, hey, yeah, of course, it could also be out of curiosity, but you never really know what's going on in the back of their head. People might look at you differently if they know about your crypto. Be careful of that. Now, in this case here, again, a kidnap, I really don't know how you can actually give away 80 Bitcoins like that. Because, well, first of all, if somebody's going to kidnap me, there's going to be nobody's going to pay any money. So that's a little bit of a bummer. They're going to be like, hey, call somebody up. I'm going to be like, who can I call? Nobody knows my stuff. Who's going to pay? And if they say, just give it to us right now, I'm going to be, how do I do that? You can't all of a sudden just expect me to think of my 24 keywords of what are the ledgers. And even then, there's not much money on one ledger because it's split up everywhere. What am I supposed to do? So these guys would be very disappointed. But then again, if you're trading a huge sum of money, it becomes a little bit more simple, right? If your plan is to go somewhere, like for example, what happened here, and exchange $500,000 into cryptocurrency, OTC, it's already a little bit strange how this OTC happened to cash. I don't really see that happening too often. $500,000 in cash. But I guess it's Hong Kong, the city of crazy stuff. And a different end, again, it's always difficult to find out which stuff is legit, which isn't. In this case here, well, she got threatened with a knife, gave up $500,000, and that's that. What can I say? Too bad. Too bad. Very sad. Gets my blood pumping really hard, but again, I cannot do anything about it. All I can say is warn or be warned. Then, stolen credit card site closes after making $1 billion in Bitcoin. A long-running darknet site for stolen credit cards is closing down. Researchers estimate it has made over $1 billion in Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm not going to go too far into it. Just wanted to let you guys know about it. However, I do not think YouTube likes this type of stuff, so I'm going to keep it simple. Aussie Bitcoin exchange owner accuses bank of discrimination. This really points towards also what we saw in the UK, where banks are not really happy to help you out with crypto transactions. An Australian Bitcoin exchange operator has taken legal action against 2 commercial banks in the country, accusing them of discriminatory practices. How am I supposed to run a lawful business if I can't get a bank account? This is talking about that guy. Alan Flynn, a Bitcoin trader in Australia, has filed a complaint against 2 commercial banks in the country, ANZ and Westpac, accusing both of systematic discrimination. According to a report by the Australian Financial Review, Flynn is seeking compensation to the tune of 250,000 Australian dollars. According to Flynn, he has been the victim of discriminatory practices, with banks allegedly continuing to shut down his accounts. Speaking to AFR, Flynn lamented that no fewer than 20 banks have closed accounts operated by his exchange in the last 3 years, adding, "How am I supposed to run a lawful business if I can't get a bank account?" For Flynn, the reported account closures come despite the fact that his crypto exchange service is registered with the Australian Transaction Reports and Analysis Centre, or AUSTRAC. Flynn's platform reportedly services over 450 customers. 450. It's not a lot. I still don't really get why they're closing it down, except for fraud stuff. And maybe because it's only 400 people, it's a little bit sketchy. They might be thinking. On a different end, if you're just running a real business, then why? How could you do that? How could a country, not work properly in that sense? I do not know. And this one here, I guess I do not know what it was supposed to say anymore. Nornickel Fund launches first blockchain-tracked precious metals ETCs. I do not know what my idea about that one was anymore, guys, but who really cares? I mean, the precious metals are coming into the space. Tokenized stuff is also coming into the space. But if we're talking precious metals, yeah, I think it's going to be big. All right, I also talk about GSX quite often, right? You guys know why. Because it's the world's first growth coin. It's basically so that this coin is going to be gold-backed. Really gold-backed. And right now there's a 20% bonus plus 5% bonus for using my link, and it's only 10 cents a coin. If it goes to exchanges, we're hoping it hits like 40 cents instantly, maybe more. Let's, again, hope for that. And again, it has a really cool initiative, and let's just hope for something great, all right? Who knows? We don't, but I think it's going to be amazing, so I'm going to bet on it. And that was it for today. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video. Take care, everybody.